Good morning, everyone. Please take a pink songbook, open it to page 65, and rise in body or spirit as you are willing and able to join in singing "We Shall Not Be Moved" with our accompanist for today, Mr. McKinney. And here we go. Welcome to the First Existentialist Congregation of Atlanta. We are a spiritual community philosophically based on existentialist and feminist principles dedicated to human liberation and the protection of the natural world. We make our spiritual home here in the Old Stone Church, which was hand-built by the African-American Antioch East Baptist Church more than 100 years ago. We acknowledge that racial hostility drove those African-Americans from the area, and we honor them and the powerful history of this place. We also acknowledge that in the 1800s, the Muskogee Creek people were driven from this land, and we support justice for all indigenous people. My name is Patton White, and I will be facilitating this morning's celebration of life. For our opening words, these are lyrics, but lyrics are poems as well. I'm going to take a little bit of liberty and do some editing as I would share this. Tell me why you're crying, my son. I know you're frightened, like everyone. Is it in the thunder, in the distance you fear? Will it help if I stay very near? I am here. Do you ask why I'm sighing, my son? You shall inherit what mankind has done. In a world filled with sorrow and woe, if you ask me why this is so, I really don't know. Tell me why you're smiling, my son. Is there a secret you can tell everyone? Do you know more than men that are wise? Can you see what we all must disguise through your loving eyes? And if you take my hand, my son, all will be well when the day is done. And if you take my hand, my son, all will be well when the day is done.
Wow.
That is the lyrics from Day is Done, a song by Peter, Paul, and Mary. And they appeared in my mind this morning as I was preparing for today. And I thought, I need to pay attention. We have already a plethora of community announcements. And so if you have one that you'd like to add to this, please write it down on the materials back there. And we will spend a bit of time sharing those a little bit later. Do we have anyone here for the first time or second time who would like to stand up, let us know who you are and how you came to be here? Celeste.
I'm Celeste Miller. This is my second time being here, and just looking in these troubled times to the community garden and get some circle.
Anyone else? So, you may have heard this before, but we do have this little connection card, and if you are interested in learning more about us, we do have a weekly e-blast and had a monthly newsletter for many years, and you can share your contact information, and we will keep you updated as to what we have going on here. Do we have any birthdays or anniversaries to celebrate today? Jan?
Well, we don't have to say birthday. The great godson's birthday was his second birthday this past week.
Your great godson's second birthday.
And he fell on the sidewalk.
All right.
Oh, happy birthday.
Let's all shake our noisemakers. Rick?
Nita asked me to announce that I had my 77th birthday on Wednesday, and for my birthday present, I wish nobody would sing.
We will all sing a silent song in our heads. Send it to you telepathically. Shelby?
It's on the 23rd.
Would you like for us to sing to you?
Yeah.
I'm getting mixed messages here.
I want to make sure
All right. Again, we will share those.
Should we do a bossa or a cha-cha or what? I'll leave it to you. What's our genre today?
I don't know. I think Kimble was hoping we wouldn't sing, but maybe we can just dance to it.
I'm
This is excluding everybody over 76.
Let's do a cha-cha birthday.
That was good.
It's not too late. It's a rousing hard rock version of it.
All right. We will go ahead and now open up your white addendum book, remembering that these are in alphabetical order, and we're going to the L's. L-E, L-E-A-N, on me. Please rise in body as you are willing and able. At this time, I'd like to invite our fellowship minister, Reverend Marcia Mitchner, to come forward and share remarks. It's on.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How wonderful to see you here. Well, as you can tell, I got my hair cut. And I was so mad because I went in and I said, I just want to trim. I want it right here just above my eyebrows. And I came out and looked like this. And I was mostly mad at me that I didn't at some point say, stop. I really hated getting into the house and Chancey seeing me because she hates my hair being this short. So I stayed mad for about a day. And then I thought, okay, enough of that. Hair will grow, and life will go on. So then Dad's not going to do anything but just keep me upset. And I thought that was, I could translate that into kind of what's going on in my life and the way I feel about things, events that have happened here in our country. I was so mad and depressed and frustrated, and I allowed myself to have those emotions. But kind of like my hair, I decided, okay, it's time to move on. Not that I don't think that I don't still have my moments, but what's important for me personally is that I am going to do everything that I can to see that democracy, that rights for justice, that those things continue as best I can. And I think that that's one of the ways that coming here is such a positive, because there's such support in the congregation for that. So I thank you for that. And I hope that you can move into a place where you find the energy to do those things that will help you to kind of exchange some of your negative feelings and put it into some kind of positive energy. Because, believe me, it's people like us in our community and others like us out there, that is going to be the thing that is going to be so needed as we go through this period of time. So, thank you for being here today, and just think about it. But don't go and get your hair cut without being really clear.
All right, here we go. Today, after the celebration of life, the third Sunday Eat and Greet will be taking place. Join us for treats and drink after the service. Assistance with setup is welcome. After service help with 2 long tables and 7 or 8 card tables would be appreciated. The membership guild. The First Voices Festival, sponsored by Little 5 Points Businesses, presents a play at 7 stages through November 24th, and a movie, Bad River, at the Plaza Theater on November 29th. See the weekly email to members and friends for details. The Indigenous Justice Committee supported this festival and powwow. The Indigenous Justice Committee reports that the powwow in Little 5 Points is amazing. It's an annual event in November. At this time, it ends today at 5 p.m. Catch it next year. In past years, First E hosted a wonderful potluck Indigenous Peoples Day / Thanksgiving Day meal. We are bringing this tradition back this year. It will be at 3 p.m. on Thanksgiving. The turkey and drinks will be provided by Richard Cohen and Marty Keller. If you would like to attend and have not already signed up, please see Richard after the service. Propel ATL Last Streets Alive of 2024 from Georgia Avenue to the West End Station. Today, 1 to 6 p.m. This afternoon, vendors, treats, pedestrian, and micro-transit only.
Hey, could you say that one again? Slower.
Propel ATL, the Last Streets Alive of 2024 from Georgia Avenue to West End Station. 1 to 6 p.m. this afternoon, vendors, treats, pedestrian, and micro-transit only. If you would like more information, see whoever wrote that down. Mary. The E-Chorus rehearsal will be on Sunday, December 1st at 10 a.m. Let's have a rave rehearsal at 10 a.m. If you would like to participate, plan on doing so. The Emory University Organ Concert on Sunday, November 24th at 4 p.m. at the Schwartz Center for the Performing Arts. There's free parking. This concert is free. And I will place this flyer in the back if you would like more information. Any other community announcements? All right, then we're going to move into our time of silence, about 5 minutes that we spend in collective silence with one another. We are going to sing another congregational song. This is in the Pink Book again on page 74. Please rise and body your spirit as you are willing and able. And Mick, just to clarify, we will not do the refrain between each verse, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
and then we'll wrap it up, we'll bookend it with the refrain.
Okay, so we'll start with the refrain, we'll end with the refrain, and just keep verses between that.
It reminded me of a great tune last week. I performed with my partner Elise, and it was a good song that by Marlena Walsh, sung by Mercedes Sosa of Argentina. It's a Chilean tune called the Cigara, not the cigar, but the cicada, the cigarra. And so made a little English version of that, but I'll first teach you the chorus if some of you might know it. It's Cantando el sol como la cigarra. That's you come out singing to the sun like the cicada. Después de años bajo la tierra, after many years under the ground, algo sobreviviente. Just like survivors returning from the war, vuelven de la guerra. We lay shelter in the storm, not because we are afraid, for the truth will set us free. When we come out together, it's waiting for the right. Baby on my Soul bossa nova. It's either that or the Sanford or something.
That reminded me of like a 70s spy movie.
Yeah, it was the theme for Austin Powers. I used it because that's why, that was when
Well, there we go.
your synapses are.
Thank you, Mick, and thank you to everyone who contributed. This morning, we will be fortunate to hear from Reverend Kimble Sorrells. Reverend Kimble is an ordained minister in the United Church of Christ. They are a graduate of Candler School of Theology at Emory University and Berry College. Kimble serves bivocationally, working with Emory University's Center for Contemplative Science and Compassion-Based Ethics, as well as in their contemplative ministry that intentionally reaches outside the church walls. Their ministry focuses on using spirituality and contemplative practices to equip us with the peace and resolve to be justice makers in the world. Kimble has experience in a variety of ministry settings. They have worked in LGBTQ advocacy for many years, including as staff for Reconciling Ministries Network and the Atlanta Pride Committee, and organizing with Atlanta's trans and queer community. They have also served in local congregations and as a hospital chaplain, community chaplain, and house chaplain for Candler's formation communities. Please join me welcoming Reverend Kimble Sorrells for their reflections on November.
Okay. How is this volume-wise? Good? Closer?
A little louder.
Up? Should I just talk louder? I have to use my preacher voice?
That's it.
Okay. I'll try to speak louder than I normally do. Well, it's good to be here with you all. I will confess that when I accepted this invitation to speak this week, I did so because I looked and my calendar was open, and I didn't stop to realize that this would be like 2 weeks after a fairly significant election. And I say that because if I had, I might have chickened out. Just being really honest with you. I imagine that many of us have felt sort of in this similar place of just disorientation the last few days, maybe even grief the last week and a half or so. I will say for me personally, I think the first few days I was just like in that like pit of despair, like just kind of wallowing in it. And I think that I found myself feeling a certain amount of hopelessness in those first couple of days. But the good thing that I'm finding for me anyway is that I have been in that place before. That I have felt this type of disorientation and hopelessness before. I like to say that the first time that I lost hope was when I was 22. I was right out of college at the time, and not only young, but very, very sheltered from much of reality. But in my enthusiasm to, dedicate my time and work to the greater good, I joined AmeriCorps, moved to Atlanta, and with this sort of half-baked budget, a roommate I hadn't met, a head full of spiritual ideals and a heart that did really want to make change. But I wasn't really prepared for what I saw. I came to Atlanta working in AmeriCorps in some of the homeless shelters that were probably some of the roughest shelters in Atlanta at the time. And so needless to say, I wasn't really prepared for that. I wasn't really prepared for seeing just how bad things were when we talk about systems of injustice. I wasn't prepared for the level of suffering that I bore witness to. I wasn't prepared for the lack of resources and this sort of constant state of feeling like I was putting a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. So it's not really surprising then that in that time, I began to lose hope, or perhaps what I thought hope was. And I felt really down, really kind of in a bad place. And I just really wanted desperately for someone to come in and tell me that it was all going to be okay. Because that's, up until that point in my life, perhaps what I thought hope was. This belief that somehow, that things were going to be okay, right? Things that your mom tells you or your parents tell you as you're a kid, you think, I'm worried, and they come in and they just, it's going to be okay. And that's what I wanted. I'll spare you the details of how my beliefs in spirituality time changed, but rather I'll say that what I found was that I hadn't so much actually lost hope as much as I was deconstructing or reconstructing what hope was. I had to take that kind of difficult deconstruction and go through that time to reconstruct hope. And I say that this was the first time I deconstructed hope, but it hasn't been the last. Over the years, there have been things that have just rocked me to my core, and every time it feels like I pull away another layer of what hope is, or maybe isn't. So right now, as I find myself in this new place, I think that I'm in somewhat of a place of deconstructing another layer of hope. I don't really yet know what that will look like on the other side, but I feel that I'm not losing hope, but rather perhaps shifting the locus of where it lives, where I find strength and power. So I say that in the first few days, I was just sort of in that really like doom scrolling kind of place, right? Thinking of all of the worst possible scenarios that could happen under the next administration. So as a trans person with a family, I worried about myself, I worried about my partner, and perhaps most importantly, about my child. I felt the grief and all of those fears, much like when I was 22. I just wanted someone to come in and tell me that it was going to be okay. But that's not how this works. And so I am actively choosing to be okay, even when I don't know what is coming, or what will happen, or if I or others will be harmed. I wanted someone to tell me it's okay, it's going to be okay, but rather I am looking instead for sources of strength and resilience so that I can somehow cultivate a level of okayness. In Buddhism, they have a way that they say, I take refuge in the Buddha, in the Dharma, which is the teachings, and in the Sangha, the spiritual community. I am not a Buddhist personally, but I've been exposed to this particular idea of refuge through my training in cognitively based compassion training. So in that practice, which is sort of a secular version of that, in this practice, to take refuge is to draw a sense of strength, comfort, perhaps even safety from our resources. So those resources might be spiritual, they might be a moment of kindness that we connect to, they might be a relationship that we have, nature, even being with a pet, anything that can be a resource for us. Anything that makes us feel safer and stronger, and we connect to that in this practice. So in the last few days, I have found myself looking for a resource, and what I'm finding as a place of strength and inspiration is this idea of queer community, and perhaps our elders in particular. I don't think this is exactly what the Buddhist teaching meant, but for me, to take refuge in the Sangha, the community, this week has been a source of strength in taking refuge in the queer or the trans community. Particularly also looking to our elders and even those who have gone before us. And this idea, right, of connecting to our traditions, connecting to our community, connecting to our elders or even our ancestors is one that we see in a variety of faith traditions or spiritual traditions. So in Christianity, we often talk about calling on the communion of the saints who have gone before us. Many indigenous traditions also look to their ancestors and other traditions as well. For me, to look to my elders and to my community as a source of strength, I do this not because they will say that it's going to be okay, but rather that they are showing me how to be okay, even when things in the world are not okay. Right? My queer and trans elders have lived through this fight long before I have. They have fought various injustices. They have endured the AIDS crisis. I find strength here not because they all survived or because it was okay, but rather they have shown me how to fight. And perhaps more importantly, they have shown me how to live and love and find resilience and joy, even in the face of danger, even when I don't know or even when they don't know it's okay, even when they didn't survive. Long before I ever met a real-life queer person, I saw one on TV. I saw people like me. I found MTV in the 90s. I wasn't supposed to actually be able to watch MTV, but maybe, thankfully, my parents weren't actually very good at manipulating the channel blocks on the TV, so I found MTV, and as this, sheltered little preteen that kind of knew who I was, but not really, I began watching The Real World, and I encountered Pedro Zamora, a young AIDS activist in this show. Some of you may have watched that show, maybe remember this. He faced life and illness at a time before we had the antiretroviral medications that we have. Like many, I was sort of drawn to his vibrancy and his charisma, but perhaps what struck me the most at the time was that he insisted that he was not dying of AIDS, but living with it. He is often quoted as saying, "I am a person living with AIDS, and I will be living with AIDS until my last breath." And he lived in just that way, and so did many others. They taught us how to live and face even death. My queer elders have shown us courage, have shown us courageous love. They have lived fiercely, they have loved fiercely, they have danced, they have made art, fought, protested, laughed, and held each other in community. So I find refuge in them because they have told me to hold this life and love even in the face of danger or distress. The thing is, we don't exactly know what is going to happen in the next few years. We do have some ideas, but unfortunately a great deal of this is actually really unpredictable. So for me, I have found that I need to find a way to cultivate life and hope and joy in this moment, just as those who have gone before me have in face of danger and uncertainty. In part because I need this to get by, to be okay, to be healthy, but also because this too is resistance. So I am choosing to keep moving and to live and hope and love and cultivate life right now. So when I was really in the dark few days of kind of despairing and coming up with all of these scenarios, I started kind of freaking out, worrying, like, what if they try to take my child away from me? And I think my rational mind is able to kind of see that this is probably not a likely outcome. But perhaps more importantly, as I sort of wallowed around in that place, I realized that if I stayed there, they had already taken her. If I stayed there, I would miss this moment here now. I would lose her now. If I laid down in despair, they would have won without even a fight. So I got up, and we all went on a bike ride. It took like an hour to go a mile. And we laughed, and we went home, and we watched Bluey, and we ate ice cream. And we cultivated joy and hope even when there feels like there is a lot of uncertainty and danger. We don't know all that is coming. Like I said, we have some ideas, but a lot is also uncertain. If we're going to keep going, we're going to have to find ways to stay in this present moment, to live now, to cultivate joy now, to rest and to hope. This doesn't mean that we don't fight or that we don't take precautions. It's not meaning that we just sort of ignore the world and pretend like it's okay and stick our head in the sand. Rather, I'm saying that we aren't governed and ruled by our fear. So let me give you sort of a low-stakes example, right, of what I kind of mean. So years ago, I should sort of tell you, I am a little bit of a germaphobe. And if Shelby were up here, she would say I'm a lot of a germaphobe. But years ago, I was doing children's ministry, which is a great place when you're a germaphobe. And we had a norovirus outbreak in the middle of Vacation Bible School. So like stomach virus with like 100 and something kids all in close contact, which have no precautions, just spreading it around. Now, me being me, I of course like get on all of the Googles and look, and I'm like, yes, so this is spread by contact, so everything that I touch I must consider contaminated, and all of these things. So I was probably for that week obsessively paying attention to everything I touched, to every fork I used, to every doorknob, to everything. There was a lot of hand sanitizer. And then every day I would sort of come home and like take off clothes, decontaminate, get in the shower, put everything away, and then I could like maybe sort of relax for the night. I think I Lysoled every surface in the children's wing of the church. And this was kind of miserable. So I say this as a little bit of an example here, right? That like, yes, knowing that there is a norovirus outbreak, taking precautions is smart. You should wash your hands. You should do things that are precautions. You should, wash your hands before you eat. Maybe don't put your hands in your mouth, those kinds of things. But I think the level of obsession and fear that I lived in was probably a whole lot worse than if I had just had the norovirus for like 6 hours and been sick. And so this is, right, like a low-stakes example, right? Stomach virus for most people is more of an inconvenience than anything serious. But what I'm saying is that we can only take the precautions that we can take, and then we have to just somewhat accept the things that are out of our control. We can't always keep ourselves or our loved ones safe. Sometimes bad things happen, and that is true regardless of what election outcome had happened. There are risks and dangers to our rights that we have been fighting and would have been fighting if the election had gone a different way. And there are dangers and risks and threats in life because life is just that way. There is a lot of uncertainty. There are and will be things that we can't control. So again, I'm not saying we stick our heads in the ground and pretend like it's fine or that we don't fight. What I'm saying is that for many things, we will have to meet them as they come. Sometimes I think that we're going to have to simply focus on doing the next right thing. So I've learned a great deal from my friends in recovery when they talk about doing sobriety one step at a time or one moment at a time. One time my friend told me, she said, if I think about never drinking ever again, that I'm going to want to go out and drink right now. But if I think about not drinking right now, then I'm okay. And that's kind of how it feels for me a little bit in this moment, is that like, if I think about the next 4 years, I also kind of want to go out and drink. But I can think about today, and I can think about even maybe the near future, the precautions that we can take, right? We're not all going to move to Canada or find an easy way out, but we can take reasonable precautions. And perhaps, I think this is more important, we can start creating community and finding ways to protect each other and take care of each other so that we're better able to weather whatever storms are ahead. Those are the things that we can control and that we can do now, right? So that we're able to meet those things as they come. So I say I found refuge in the community because they have shown me this path of resilience, cultivating joy in difficult times, but also, again, this key point, because they are showing me how to take care of each other and how we can best face the storms ahead. We are going to have to be the source of our own liberation. Perhaps some of the hope that I feel I lost in this time is this sense of hope in electoral politics to save us. To survive, we will need each other. We will need to fight for and with each other. We need to love fiercely and lean into our hope with each other. As much as it is tempting, I think, to sometimes disengage or give up, we can keep hope for change and keep engaged. Alice Walker once said, "The most common way people give up their power is by thinking that they don't have any." And I believe that she is right. I'm not saying that it won't be a lot harder in this current situation. That is just the reality of what it is. But I do think that we have to continue to claim the power that we have and to get creative with the power that we have. They want us to lay down and give up. To refuse to lie down, to refuse to give up hope, to refuse to accept defeat is necessary now more than ever. I feel like I don't really need to tell this congregation how to do the work. You all have been doing justice work for as long as you've been here. It is really just sort of in the DNA of who you are as a community. So rather, I'll simply encourage all of us to stay engaged and to keep building that community that we want in the world. We need each other. And I'll also just say, I invite all of us to be humble and open to learning. I think we're going to have to find new ways of doing activism. We're going to have to find new ways of engaging, new tactics. We're going to need to build new networks as things come our way. And perhaps we might even need to engage with, have conversations that are difficult with people that we don't want to necessarily talk to. Perhaps partnering with people that maybe we don't 100% agree with, but maybe mostly agree with. We're going to have to dig in a little bit harder. And we'll find the way. We'll find the way forward. We'll find those tactics. But for now, for today and in this moment, my invitation is that we just take this time to draw strength from each other and to commit to cultivating that community of support, but also that community of resilience and joy. So it's been 12-ish days. I can't tell you that I have fully reconstructed what hope means for me in this moment. I wish that I could believe that everything will be okay, but that sense of everything happens for a reason or everything will be okay left me long ago. We don't know that everything will be okay. And again, this is true even if the election had gone a different way. There has always been danger, and there will always be danger. But rather right now, I am looking to my community. I am looking for ways to cultivate life and love, even in the midst of uncertainty. I am looking for ways to cultivate community and to meet to be our own liberation, right? so that we are best prepared to meet these challenges and these fights as they come to us. So for me, that is the next right thing. So I invite you to draw strength here today. And as you go from here, to continue to be a light in the darkness, to cultivate resilience, and to do so perhaps moment to moment, breath to breath, just doing whatever it is the next right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimble. Our closing congregational song is in the pink book. It's on page 89, Will the Circle Be Unbroken? Please remember that we do have our eat and greet after we finish today. After we sing our closing congregational song, I'll have brief closing words. Please rise and body your spirit as you are willing and able, page 89. For our closing word/activity, this is drawing upon the work of Bonnie Bainbridge Cohen and her body-mind centering work. Take your hands and just rub them together, nice and warm, and then start to kind of massage around them. And then just take your fingers and squeeze and open as we activate or move into our interstitial or intercellular fluids, which nourish and detoxify. And so if we think of that spongy muscularity of bringing nourishment in and releasing toxins, we can focus on this moment, and this moment, and this moment. Have a wonderful rest of your day today. Next week, we will be listening to Leon Clymore.